War has come to Middle-earth.
This is the work of Sauron.
Ismael, Tyroe, such a pleasure to meet you. My name is Sudhir, Srinivasan. I am an Indian film critic. And maybe we can start off with the relationship between your characters. You're almost a stepfather for his character, Theo.
Father got stepped up.
Yeah. And I really like these, little small relationships that blossom across the series here and there, sort of grounding you in emotions. Do you want to talk about the dynamics that your characters share?
I think every character in Middle-earth is called upon to do great things that they were not expecting. And it's not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to lead a kingdom for it to be thought as great. It is something, a kingdom starts with an individual. It's comprised of many individuals, and when you're asked to raise an individual, it is as great as to lead a kingdom. And when Arondir is asked to do that, I think that is, it's wonderful in so many ways, and it's difficult in so many ways, because he's an elf.
Yeah.
What does he know about humans?
Yeah.
But the wonderful thing about this character that I am obsessed with is the curiosity, the level of curiosity of, he's an eternal being, possibly hundreds, maybe 1,000 years old, looking at these other beings that in relationship, in and out, like that,
So what breaks him out of this monotonous life that he's been living, do you think? What was so special about this family?
Is this the fire that he has, like that they have, and both Bronwyn and Theo, the fire with which they live life, the curiosity, she's a scientist, an explorer. He just wants to know absolutely everything. He has his emotions, like the flower of his skin. I don't know how to say that in English, but it's just the surface, and it's so intriguing to see these beings living in that way when their lives are essentially like that.
Yeah.
So he's like, what moves you?
Yeah.
That big question, what moves you? I want some of that.
And a lot of this is unsaid as well. Like especially Tyroe, I mean, you have a lot of these emotions within you, but you don't necessarily get to express them in words. Maybe your affection for him, maybe your the guilt of what you've done, small things. So how do you approach your performance in terms of, because it's not dialogue heavy necessarily?
Yeah,
I think with Theo, he has so many layers and so many fears, anxieties, but at the same time he has a confidence about him. There's not, like, obviously after what happened in the last season, he must feel so guilty and so awful, and he's grieving, but in the same vein, he's got a newfound confidence. You know what I mean? He's just watched an entire battle. He killed a few orcs in there. He killed that orc in that house. You know what I mean? There's a belief inside of him, and it's like, that's something that is really admirable, that he could do that.
And he's starting to believe that he can be someone even without the help of that weapon that he used to
Exactly,
carry.
and we see that this season. We really do, and we get to dive into the real emotions of him, I think.
Ismael, you're an elf in love with a human, of course. And I think such relationships are quite important in breaking the rules about who you're supposed to like. And I always love it when relationships break the social boundaries of what they're supposed to be. Do you want to talk to me about the utility of that?
Oh, absolutely. I think it has so many layers. I love your questions. Like something you said earlier that I want to reference as well. It's the utility of it all is to exactly that. You have to subvert, and the best space to do that is it's on screen, right, or literature, or like in these creative works. But on top of that, the genre of fantasy. It affords you to subvert in such a beautiful, stylized way an elf and a human, which can be, ¿cómo se dice? It can be any other pairing, that you can see yourself in there. And that's the utility of it. We have got to be curious. We have got to be subversive in those ways. We have got to explore love and question society in all these ways possible. And that's the utility of it, the utility of what we do.
Yeah.
The utility of fantasy is not often necessarily seen at the forefront as something subversive.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily need to be an escapist experience either.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of depth and layers that are held by the genre and the aesthetic of it all.
Because it seems to me that sometimes people process fantasy as just an escapist exercise. You watch it, you don't necessarily, they're just doing things that you can't relate to. But that's not necessarily true, is it?
No, it's easy. I mean, it's just as, it's extremely poetic in that sense. Like, you're not talking so much literally about A, B, and C. You're showing and experiencing what it feels like. The feeling of what an elf is, the feeling of what a human is, not so much the literal aspect of it. So that's why I find it very poetic, more akin to music, more akin to,
I understand.
Exactly what I'm saying. I love this. And I love, just to reference something that you said earlier that I really liked, you said your characters are not necessarily dialogue heavy. And it's beautiful because that's the other thing. A lot of times we equate however many words these characters say for their importance and their impact, when these characters are living much closer to the human experience.
Yeah, you're among the quieter characters in the show as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're communicating so much with respect to how you look at someone. And it takes a long time before even, you approach his mother, and you start to express some sort of affection.
Which is closer to the human experience. Most of us are avoiding to say the thing, to feel the thing, to show the thing. We spend so much time on our own, brushing our hair, brushing our teeth at home, in complete silence.
That's true.
But you can have a whole movie, half a movie of a character just traversing through life without a single word, and the story can be so wild, which I think both of our characters go through.
Yeah, and Theo, your character Theo makes a crucial mistake that he's unable to forgive himself for. And you also start to learn that you don't need to define yourselves by the mistakes that you've committed, right? So maybe as a personal question, the both of you can talk about when you started going easy on yourself in terms of the mistakes that you committed. Have you?
I mean, to be honest, I'm still young.
Why do you look at me straight in the eye when you say that?
I don't know, but I'm just
I'm
saying,
still young. I'm still young.
But there's...
Thanks for not looking at me.
But I feel like I still have a lot to learn as a person myself. I know for a fact I'm not very forgiving of myself. There are things that mistakes I've made 5 years ago that I still think of to this day and be like, why did you do that? And I feel like being an actor and having these chances to, when you're playing a character like Theo especially, it's like I have to forgive him first before he will forgive himself. And the fact that I have to learn to forgive him, I feel like is a chance for me to learn for myself, which I think is a real beautiful opportunity, I guess. Yeah.
So I mean, it's a daily practice. That's something that I'm still learning, quite transparent about it. That's something that and I think many of us are. I love having these opportunities to be transparent about those things because I think we want to position ourselves consistently as fully formed in your 30s, and no, not at all. This is a struggle, and in the struggle comes the practice of understanding the enigma that the human experience is, and to talk about again those non-verbal moments that we're not exteriorizing it, but this mind is speaking quite a bit, and it's judging ourselves and not us trying to contend with whatever things that we've done. And every day I have to just understand.
And as a society, we are often, as individuals, expected to forgive other people.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that nobody really talks to us about forgiving ourselves.
Be nice to others, be forgiving to others, but then you're consistently punching yourself in the gut about every little mistake that you make. So for me, it's just about that, reminding myself that, and forgiving myself for the mistakes, trying to make new mistakes. That's what I try.
I mean, who of us can be exempt from it?
Make a new one. Make a new one. You
There
know?
are like very, very minimal guarantees in life, right? We have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, maybe
tomorrow,
he doesn't
you
know that he's an elf.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But the one thing that we do know 100% and we always will know is that we are the only person in our head. You are the only person that hears every single one of your thoughts. You're the only person that knows every single thing that you do. So just make sure that you're looking after it, you know? Just make sure that you're looking after your head because you're the only person in
So as a final question on a related note, do you both envision a happy future for your characters?
I sure hope so. I wish I saw at one point.
Do you know something I don't yet?
I don't. I think you know as much as I do. Well, actually, no, we know a little bit more.
That's it.
But I hope that there's respite. You know, I hope that there is. I would love to see Aaron there at a open mic night, just kind of singing a nice song, having a pint, and just taking a breather.
Yeah.
You know, but for now,
I was going to say that under different circumstances, everything would be so much different for your family. Right?
it'll be so much easier. But in the meantime, I think you're just gonna see us go through a lot of experiencing.
Of course.
I mean, mortal men doomed to die. So I don't know if it looks great for Theo, to be honest. As a man in Tolkien, there's not very many men in Tolkien who have a happy ending. So I don't know. We'll see, maybe.
Well, that was dark. I wanted to uplift it.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm
Oh, good.
Great. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.